Welcome to Behind the Prop Podcast, where each week we will bring you stories, lessons, and some tips from behind the prop. Please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
Pre-show checklist. Microphones.
Check.
Sound check.
Complete.
Recording all channels.
Checked and verified. Pre-show checklist complete.
Tower. Bravo Tango Papa is holding short, ready for departure.
Bravo Tango Papa, you are clear for takeoff. Have a great show.
You're clear for takeoff and Wilco. Bravo Tango Papa.
What's up, Wally?
Hey, Bobby, how are you?
I'm good. We are on episode 10, man. This has been a lot of fun. Last week, we talked about the economics of flight training. Someone said, as I told them the episode name, they said it's just expensive. And I know we talked about it being expensive, but we gave some good tips on how to save money.
Yeah, it is expensive, and nobody walks in the door expecting this to be a cheap endeavor. But there are ways to kind of mitigate the cost, and that's where we're trying to help here.
And this week, we are going to cover all of your holiday gift ideas. So Wally and I have put together a list of things that maybe you just want to refer your family and friends to listen to this episode so they can get a bunch of good gift ideas for you. But we're going to talk through a bunch of stuff, nothing necessarily in order, but whether you've thought of these yourself or you want to have someone buy you some gifts for the holidays, lots of good stuff on here. Wally, what do you think? Which one of these holiday gift ideas should we start with?
Well, why don't we start at the top end of the price range? And I say that I'm looking at my list here, and I have about 10 things on here, and probably the most expensive thing, and probably in my opinion the most useful thing that we have on the list here is an iPad. We talked about paper versus plastic on a previous podcast on whether, the way to go is paper charts or plastic chart or electronic flight bag, if you will. And obviously, if we go with an EFB, which is that's the wave of the future, an iPad is necessary. So there are lots of different options with iPads, memory size, cellular versus non-cellular. And what I will say about that is if you are looking to purchase an iPad, you definitely want to buy one with cellular capability. And the reason is an iPad with cellular capability has a GPS chip built into it. And that way, as you're using your iPad in the airplane, you'll have your position. Your position will always be displayed. Now, you don't have to activate the cellular service on the iPad, so you're not having to pay a monthly subscription to that. But you do definitely want to buy an iPad that has the cellular capability, and it's usually another $130 extra for that particular iPad.
And so I think I was confused even early on. I'm kind of a tech guy. The value of that additional chip, you're really, instead of buying a third-party external card that would provide that GPS information, you're getting that built into the iPad. So if I don't have a GPS source by chance, then the iPad will give it to me. And you don't ever have to turn on the cellular service, is what you're saying, correct?
That's exactly right. And the occasional time where you might be at an airport that's maybe out in the middle of nowhere and you don't have Wi-Fi capability, you can very simply get cellular service. I mean, you're going to have to pay for it. You're going to have to put a credit card in it. You may have to commit to $20 for a given month. But it's always nice to have that backup. I do activate the cellular service on my iPad. I don't use it a whole lot because most of the time I am on Wi-Fi. But there are occasions where you're out somewhere and you don't have Wi-Fi available, and you want to file a flight plan or whatever. Check the weather. It is nice to have that ability. But again, you don't have to activate it, so you don't have to pay the monthly fee.
And I'm sure it varies by carrier, but I think mine's $10 a device. So if you turn it on, it's $10, and you can turn it on and off pretty frequently if you wanted to as well.
Right.
You're just going to be hit with that $10. So
Right.
maybe you don't fly much in the winter. Turn it off. Turn it on in the summertime. It's great. So let's talk about size and size. So screen size and memory size, probably a personal preference thing. I wish there was almost something in between the mini and the 11-incher.
Right.
The 11-incher is just a little too big for the knee
Right.
pad for me, kind of thing. The mini's great. I have an old mini. It's time to upgrade to the newer mini for sure, because it's running slow. But I like a mini in the cockpit, and I carry my larger iPad in my fly bag as a backup. Any thoughts or suggestions there?
Yeah, it's definitely personal preference. The one thing that I do like about the Mini is it does mount easily on the yoke. In our 172, it fits right between the two handles actually, and it fits really nice on the yoke. I'm not a mounted type person. I usually just keep the iPad in my lap. I've never really used a knee board. Most of the applicants that I give check rides to use knee boards, and they use them very effectively. It's just something that 40 years ago when I was learning to fly, it just wasn't a part of the norm for people to use the knee board. So it's just something I never really adapted to. But I have the 11-inch iPad Pro. I think the super duper iPad, the 12.9 inch or whatever it is, I think it's just a little bit too big.
Yeah, too big.
Too bulky. And like you said, I kind of wish there was one between the Mini and the 11-inch, because maybe about I don't know, a tweener iPad would be nice. I do find that the older people like the bigger ones, the younger people like the smaller ones, and that probably has something to do with the vision. But you are obviously able to pinch out to make the things bigger. I would say with the iPad Mini, to me, reading text isn't as I don't like it near as much as I do in my 11-inch iPad. So it is a personal preference, and just keep in mind, I think most people are not going to buy an iPad and dedicate it strictly to aviation. You're going to use it for other things, and you're going to find all kinds of other uses for it if you don't have an iPad already. But it's a great device. And as far as the other size, it's the memory. How much memory you have on your iPad is something to look at, and of course, the more memory, the more expensive. So there are economics involved in this, and that might be something that you could address. You being the tech guy here.
Yeah, I think I would go the bigger the better. The more you can afford, the better you're going to be. The iPad's going to be with you for probably more than a number of years. My minis lasted probably going on 5 or 6 years. But I would say it's always going to be painful to add the $100, the $199, or the $299, depending on how big you're going to really make that memory size be. But I don't think you're going to regret it if you have more memory in there, for sure. That would be my suggestion. It's always going to come down to your wallet, your capability, but the bigger the better from a memory size. I think the Mini is the right thing for the aircraft. And I think, again, as we said, for sure, add the cellular chip so that you get that GPS along with it.
Yeah. I give check rides to so many people who are using an iPad, and they don't have that cellular capability, and almost every one of them, they say, well, I got the iPad before I started flying. So, most people are going to say, well, I'm never going to need that. But it is something that as pilots, you definitely need.
Yes. And now there is a mini option out there with an Apple Pencil, which is, I've always said this was going to be game changing. So if you can find a way to not drop your one Apple Pencil in the plane, then it's going to be an extremely valuable tool with what you can do in ForeFlight with markups, etc. So iPads at the top of our list today because of the size of the price tag for sure. Let's just go with the second biggest price tag there. And I would say that would probably be the ForeFlight subscription maybe. Is there something more expensive on that list? No, the ADS-B receiver. Let's start with the ADS-B receiver as number 2. Lots of debates around a flight school. You've probably seen every ADS-B receiver in your check ride days, Wally. Do you carry a receiver with you when you fly check rides?
I don't, and I really should, because there are a lot of the airplanes I get to fly in have Bluetooth transponders, and I'm able to, or Wi-Fi. I'm able to hook my iPad up to the transponder in the airplane, and it's very nice to be able to see traffic. The ADS-B receiver that I have personally has some serious battery issues. Without being plugged in, it lasts me about 20 minutes. So when I have it in my airplane, I have it constantly plugged in, and it works just fine. But actually, a newer ADS-B receiver is on my Christmas wish list to my family. So I would like to, and the one that I really like is, I think it's the Sentry. It has a carbon monoxide detector built into it, and it's fairly economically priced. But it is really, really nice to be able to get the weather and traffic. I mean, that's the main thing.
Yeah, the traffic's super nice, and so much of a safety mechanism. I remember shortly after I started flying, I went out and I bought the Stratus 2 when it just got released. And it was, I think in those days, it might have been one of, if not the only game in town.
Yeah.
Maybe it was $8.99, $9.99, something like that. It was very expensive. And I justified it to my wife, saying that this was going to help me keep from hitting things.
Right.
And she said, "Done. Go get it." But obviously, there's a lot of different options on the market. Go search the Google for a buyer's guide of some sort, so you get what you need. Some have batteries, some don't have batteries, built in or not built in, and that might be a reason for you to consider if you're going to get one with a bad battery or your battery goes bad. That's going to be pretty painful. Without having them plugged in, as Wally said. So to each his own, but go out and buy something like that. The ranging, I would say $299 to maybe $1,000 on the high end.
Right.
My Stratus I've had now for 5 years, works like a champ. Used it yesterday, saw lots of traffic, and helped navigate me along my route as well. Right, in conjunction with what I had in the plane. So a great tool to have, and probably the second most expensive thing on our list. Depending on which version you get, number 3 here, I guess, would be the ForeFlight subscription, from the now performance plan all the way down to their introductory plan, anywhere from $299 to around $99 for ForeFlight subscriptions. Wally, you told a little story before we got started. You give a few of these away every year, I hear?
Yeah, this both my daughter's ForeFlight subscription renews on Christmas Day every year, and they kind of laugh about it. It's gotten to be a tradition. They know every year at Christmas I'm going to renew their ForeFlight subscription, and they've commented that it's probably the most worthwhile Christmas gift they get, albeit it's not very, very cool to get a ForeFlight subscription. I remember in high school and in college, every year for Christmas from my parents, I got 2 tires for my car, and it was okay, yeah, they're my tires this year. And then I'd put them on the car and get rid of the 2 bad ones, and then the next year I get 2 more, and so every year I had this 2 tire rotation thing going on, and that's kind of my I don't give my daughters tires anymore, but I give them a ForeFlight subscription. But it's definitely worthwhile. It's something you don't think about, but it is such a worthwhile, and in today's environment, something very much needed.
As we age, it's funny how the practicality of a Christmas gift is so much more valuable than the novelty of a Christmas gift.
Yeah.
So if you don't use it, maybe that's a great Christmas gift idea for you. Now, a spattering of other really cool gifts that every aviator might need or want, and we'll just talk through some of these items. I showed Wally this morning as we sat down to record some of my new toys, and the newest one, albeit very simple, was very valuable to me last night when I flew back from Austin, and that is my new flashlight. And pretty cool stuff, very basic, has a lot of the survival type kit stuff in it, right? It could help me break glass, and it's made of high quality aluminum and runs on 3 batteries. But the nice thing about it is it's got a white light, a red light, and a green light. And I love it when I get to teach or show somebody something new. I think I showed Wally something new this morning.
Definitely.
This flashlight, the red function, we all talk about it in an aircraft. And I had an experience recently where I was trying to show someone, I didn't have an emergency, but I was showing them the emergency checklist. And I turned on the red light on my headlamp, and we couldn't read anything. All the red text disappears, and it's gone, so you can't see it. So you'd have to use a white light. Obviously, in an emergency, that would be useful. But this flashlight has a green light in it, and it actually turns the red text into black ink, purple, something like that. It's a very dark color. So for $20, great aluminum flashlight, and it has zoom capabilities, which I thought was really neat for a little handheld flashlight. So white, green, and red, all with zoom capabilities, all with a push-button access. So a good flashlight is a great tool, whether it be small or big. I have a big one as well that I use to pre-flight the aircraft, something that I can see surface areas and things like that if I was going to go pre-flight at night. But I can see on the side of your bag, Wally, you have looks like a flashlight with a little bit of survival gear, hooks and clamps and things on it. So obviously an important tool for everyone's flight bag for sure.
Definitely. This one is a Smith & Wesson brand, and this does not have a green light. It has the red light, but that was very interesting what you showed me. The red light does totally make the red text disappear, and that could be a problem.
It could be a
if
problem.
you're trying to read something. But I think most of us have a phone that has a flashlight function built into it via the flash. So we all have that. So I think, I know back in the day when I was learning to fly, having a flashlight in your flight bag was a big deal. I mean, it was a big deal. Make sure you have a flashlight. Do you have a flashlight? Do you have extra batteries? And I think because of cell phones, we've maybe that has gone by the wayside. Back in the day, we all probably had maps somewhere in our car, in the glove compartment or somewhere, and we just don't need that anymore with cell phones. I think we rely on our phones a lot for our flashlight. I know most people that I fly with at night, if they need a flashlight, the first thing they think about is pulling out their phone. But obviously, the flashlights on your phone don't have the different color capabilities like these things do. And a lot of them have a strobe light feature that if you were ever in an emergency, that might be a good way to attract attention to yourself if you ever went down in a dark area.
No doubt. So I would definitely add a flashlight, and to that a headlamp too. Lots of good options out there from a headlamp perspective. Red does make a pretty big difference for me at night, so that I don't kind of get the washout in my eyesight. So if you get a headlamp, also make sure it has a white and red option at a minimum, and the green is a great plus as well.
Just what's the cost of that flashlight you showed me, Bob?
This one's $19.95.
Okay,
This is made by Air Classics. So obviously available in our store here at the flight school, but also available online as well.
So for $20, a very, very high quality flashlight.
For sure, yes. And easily a stocking stuffer or a big gift.
Right.
And you mentioned it. Obviously, this takes batteries. You'd be a fool not to carry extra batteries for anything that runs on batteries at night. And if you don't fly often, we talked about proficiency a week or two ago, and obviously you need to make sure your batteries and things and your tools are up and working. And you should also carry extra batteries. We've talked about your little check ride gift here that you give out, Wally. It's got your URL on it. It's got 4 AA batteries in it. It will be in my fly bag forever now. I carry a little bag of AAA batteries as well. And then the gift that we're going to talk about today really is the backup battery, right?
Right.
We talk about iPads and iPhones and flashlights on our phones, and all that stuff takes juice, right? And that juice will inevitably run out on us.
Yes.
So I carry a company. I've always used this brand for some reason called RAV Power, RAVPOWER. I think I've probably bought them all on Amazon, but the amount of power in each of those batteries is important, and you need to make sure you can charge the things you want to charge. The battery I have will actually charge my iPad and iPad mini and phone all one time. So they could all be drained and all be recharged with that battery one time. And that's assuming I have no power source in my aircraft. I am not making a stop somewhere that I could charge those items. But you definitely need a good battery, and this is a great gift for Christmas idea, to make sure you have a battery. I think you carry a battery.
Yes.
You'd almost be crazy not to carry some battery source with the USB plugs where you could use interchangeable cables, etc., to be able to charge your devices.
Yeah. One of the I joke that one of the biggest challenges I have on a day where I'm giving 2 check rides is keeping my stuff charged. The first thing I do when I sit into the briefing room is start plugging stuff in, and it's usually first thing in the morning. My phone, my iPad is already at probably 96% anyway, but first thing I do is plug that stuff in and keep it charged. I've been on I can think of 2 check rides on the last couple years where we basically had to divert on the check ride because of weather. We have a lot of afternoon thunderstorms that roll in here in Houston, and we went out and did the air work and couldn't get back to our home airport here at David Wayne Hooks. So we ended up in airport just 20 miles north of here, Conroe. And as we were flying around trying to figure out if we actually wanted to go to Conroe, I'm looking at my iPad down at 18%, 16%, 14%, and this particular airplane didn't have USB capability on the panel, and it was one of those things where, I wish I would have taken off with my iPad at 100% rather than 60%, and in that particular day, my battery was dead, so we did end up diverting into Conroe and sat there for about an hour and a half and then flew back. So I was able to get everything charged. But keep your stuff charged and have a backup plan. Have a backup to the backup, even if if you can go that far.
Well, that makes a good point too. Just some sort of a pouch to carry your cables in. Make sure you have the cables, so if someone else has a battery or you find a wall outlet, that you can at least plug it in for sure. Another big gift idea is obviously a pilot's dream headset. I know when I started flying, I don't remember who gave me the advice, but they said just buy a cheap one as you're working on your private, and that'll ultimately become your backup when you make the decision to buy a nice one. And I think I repeat that pretty often now with new students that come in. Hey, start with a lower end version, something that's not noise canceling. You want to hear the engine. You want to know what's going on with the plane. That'll ultimately become your backup headset. And maybe you're someone like me who has that backup headset, but is dreaming of that really nice noise canceling headset. This is a great gift idea. Not something that we're all going to get, even though we might want it. Lots of versions out there. I'm a David Clark dealer here at United Flight Systems. They make 2 or 3 really good noise canceling headsets of varying size. And if you're a glasses wearer, they sell a small ear cup one that your glasses can fit over. And they obviously sell the over-the-ear Pro X1s and the I'm going to blank on the name now that I'm trying to think of it. But 2 other over-the-ear noise-canceling headsets that are really, really good. And obviously people ask about Bose all the time. There's very few Bose dealers out there. So the A20 is great. They sell an in-the-ear flight now that is also noise canceling. But I don't really recommend noise canceling for the 120-hour pilot. Since we recorded a few weeks ago, Wally, I've listened to The Killing Zone, which was a great book. Actually, lots of case studies, but a lot of that in the book, it even references, man, you might want to be able to hear the engine when you're in the killing zone, which is about 120 hours to 300 hours for any of those anomalies. But it is nice to have a noise canceling headset. What I find most valuable about my noise canceling headset is the Bluetooth connectivity. So it doesn't have to be noise canceling to have that Bluetooth connectivity. But if you do have ForeFlight and you're on an Apple device that you can connect to that Bluetooth, you will get the warnings that your iPad is telling you from ForeFlight. So traffic 2 o'clock, 500 feet below you will actually come through your ears, which is very valuable. Or you're entering or about to cross a runway while you're taxiing at an airport, ForeFlight will make those warning callouts to you, both on the ground and in the air, which is a great value for the Bluetooth capabilities, whether or not you have noise canceling.
Yeah, I agree. That Bluetooth capability. My home airport is an uncontrolled airport, and what we have to do there is we have to call on the telephone to Houston Clearance Delivery to get our clearance, and then they want us to call at the end of the runway to be released. And so obviously the end of the runway, you're sitting there with the engine running. It is extremely convenient just to Bluetooth it and make the phone call as I'm sitting right there and say, hey, yeah, we're at Cleveland runway 34 ready to go, and you're talking to the controller through your headset. It's a very clear call. I also have a Bose A20. I have used a Lightspeed. I got my seaplane rating up in Alaska several summers ago. That's what they had in the airplanes, and it worked great as just as well as the Bose. I still have my original green David Clark headset. I can't even tell you what model it is, but it's close to 40 years old, and it still works just fine. Of course, it's not noise canceling, but it's a 40-year-old headset that works just fine. There is something that's kind of cool about the David Clark green.
It's been around a long time.
Everybody knows exactly what it is, and it's kind of like Ray-Ban aviators. You see that, you think, oh, that person might be a pilot when you see that on someone. I'll just tell a fun story. The first time I ever really used a noise canceling headset, I didn't have one, and my daughter had one. I bought her one, and I asked if I could borrow it one day. I was going to fly a pilots for patients trip, and I went down to Ellington Airport and picked up 2 patients and was flying them back to Monroe, Louisiana. This is in a 172, and we taxied out. We get on the runway, and we take off, and probably about 100 feet, it occurred to me that I had not actually turned on the noise canceling feature of the headset. So the controller was right there in my lap, and I just reached down and I hit the power button, and somewhere around 200 feet, the noise canceling feature turned on, which if you've ever experienced this, it sounds like the engine
Stops running.
turns off. and I guess I didn't jump because my patient and his wife didn't react anything, but I really think I almost came out of my skin because I thought the engine quit, and then I realized, okay, note to self, don't do that at that point in time anymore. But the noise canceling sure makes things nice. I mean, when you're in the airplane and your batteries die, all of a sudden you lose that noise canceling capability. The headset still works just fine, just the noise canceling doesn't work, and it's kind of a wake up call. So
You hear a lot that you didn't hear before, for sure.
right, exactly.
Well, you said Ray-Bans. Let's talk about the next one. Some good sunglasses.
Yeah.
We've picked on some sunglasses recently in side conversations, mostly polarized options, because they're so bad in the plane when you want to see ForeFlight on your iPad, or you want to see the screens of a G1000 or even the screen of a 430. polarized is really a problem for pilots because
Yes.
of what it does to the screens
Yes.
for us. We sell some Sergettis in our flight school here. It's a really high quality aviator sunglass company that makes different tints of sunglasses, but none of them are polarized. And it's a great option. If you have a pilot in your life that may not have a really good pair of sunglasses, buy them a really good pair of non-polarized sunglasses
Yeah.
for Christmas, and they will be very appreciative of those.
Yeah, and if you go into any sunglass shop and you tell them I want non-polarized, the first thing they're going to do is say, you must be a pilot.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a little side tip, I showed Wally a couple weeks ago when we were recording something. There's something you can buy on Amazon, probably other places, but it's called hydrofocals. It's a little sticker, which is actually readers that stick on the inside part of sunglasses or any type of glass for that matter, that will turn any normal pair of glasses into bifocals. And it doesn't inhibit your line of sight. They're great little devices. They can be trimmed with just scissors and fit right on your glasses. They can be removed and put on other glasses. So on my really nice polarized sunglasses, I put these $15 plus 2 stickers on my glasses, and I'm using reading glasses while I'm in the plane, which is on my medical, and I
Right.
have to have those. So
Right.
very beneficial for me to have the far-sighted out of the aircraft so I can see long distances, and then have that little sticker to help me read and see the cockpit numbers and things that I need to see inside the cockpit.
Right.
So very, very valuable little add-on that you could add to those sunglasses as well. Next, I think we talk about the economics of flight training and the expense. I bet any pilot would appreciate a few $100 on their account. What do you think, Wally?
Definitely.
A
Definitely.
couple $100 on my flight school account would make me a happy man. Maybe a gift card from a flight school or
Yeah.
from a flight shop.
Right.
Pilots aren't going to let that stuff go to waste. So great gift idea would be a gift certificate, a gift card, a couple $100 on their account. Get them a couple extra hours in the air that they might not be able to get is always a good gift.
Yeah.
Another novelty or not novelty item that I think would be great is anything that's personalized with their name or tail number. So if they own a plane and they have a tail number on that plane, or they have a plane they fly all the time and they have a favorite tail number, I think everyone likes that tail number on a hat, a
Yeah.
bag,
Yeah.
their name on a flight bag. A bag is always like a purse, I think, to a woman. They all have their preferences: big, small, little pockets, big pockets, strap, no strap. A flight bag is going to be hard for you to pick the perfect flight bag for someone. But if you do, and they know it's their perfect flight bag, put their name on that bag. It would mean a lot, I think, to a pilot to have their name or a tail number on that bag.
Yeah, I think all of us have our little quirks, and we have 2 airplanes, and we have a Piper Saratoga and a Cessna 172, and I have chocks with the tail number of the airplane on the chocks. So we have 2 sets of chocks in our airplane, in our hangar rather, and they're exactly the same, but they each have the tail number of the airplane that they go to, and there are times that I'll go in the hangar and other people have flown the airplanes, and the chocks are backwards, and it's just wrong. I have to stop and go move the chocks around. Again, the functionality of the chocks are exactly the same. They're the same thing, but I look at that and I go, how could somebody do that? So I know what you mean about the personalization of the items. That is a nice little touch.
The last, I guess, smaller item we'll talk about here is a knee board. Wally said he didn't use one coming up in his aviation career. I've kind of always used one, really from instrument on. I don't think I did in private, but I think instrument on I did. And I've got a pretty nice knee board that holds an iPad mini on one side, and as you open that up, it's got a notepad on the other side. So I wear it on my right leg. I open it up, that notepad's on my left leg. I've got visuals of everything I need, charts, maps, visual reference while I'm flying on my right leg, and then take notes on my left leg as I get radio numbers, squawk codes. I write down IFR clearances, whatever that might be. I can handwrite that all as well. That's that I have bought a lot of knee boards, Wally, in search of a better one, and I just haven't found one yet. So probably another personal item that people will have preference to, but a good knee board, whether someone's starting their instrument training or just starting to learn how to fly, they probably have things they need on a knee board as it relates to sectionals, paper, take notes, put a pin in there. You can't go wrong with a knee board for sure.
Yeah. And one thing that we talked about is as we were going through our list of good gift ideas, we brought up the idea of a handheld radio, and I thought that it was interesting that both of us sort of it certainly wasn't scripted, but both of us really have the same thought about a handheld radio. I thought about maybe 5 or 6 years ago that I really needed a handheld radio, and so it was a Christmas gift from my family. I said, boy, this is the one I want. I picked out the one that had the ILS capability built into it, and you could save all these frequencies, and I got it, opened it up on Christmas Day, put the batteries in it, played with it, and quite frankly, it sits in my hangar.
Yep.
Most of the time when I fly, I don't take it with me. So that might be something that, I don't know. I would really think long and hard over whether this is, because they're a few $100s, if that's money well spent.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I did the same thing. I bought one for myself. I wanted that ILS capabilities, and I think it sits in my cabinet over here almost all the time. And I don't know that it was a waste of money, because I definitely listen to the pattern sometimes, and I know that I've gotten some value out of it when I've been taxiing around the airport with the golf cart and have it. But I don't want anyone to think we're saying you should never need one or never should carry one, because that's just not what we're saying. But I'm not sure it was as valuable of a gift idea as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And I would say it just wouldn't be at the top of my list.
Right.
For sure. What was the other bad idea we thought of? We thought that maybe the idea of an electronics E6B might not be the best investment, right?
Right.
And when I started my instrument training, I thought that was going to be so valuable, and it might have helped a little bit, but it's not as valuable as you would think, in my opinion.
Every time I've used an electronic E6B, the learning curve, I have to sit there and try to figure out how to make it work. And by the time I actually figure it out, there's 17 keystrokes to figure out something that would have been 2 twists of a wheel using the old-fashioned one. So I agree.
Yeah, and I think people think it's going to help them so much on the written or the knowledge exams, and it may help some, but it's not earth-shattering. I think learning how to use the older style E6B, using that to do your calculations, you're probably going to get closer to the answer the FAA is looking for than some drawn-out decimal point that you're rounding. And I think it'll both get you the right answer, but one's going to be a little bit more visually easy to interpret based on the FAA question and answer. We've talked about a lot of gift ideas. Let's run through some novelty items that you can probably never go wrong with as it relates to pilots. And these are stocking stuffers or maybe a package that you could create for your aviator in your life. I'm a keychain fanatic. My bag probably has dozens of keychains on it, from the classic remove before flight red keychain to pilot or aircraft keys, which is red. United Flight Systems, we have our own custom keychain that we hand out as a marketing tool. And there's a lot of new cool things coming out. My chief pilot got on with Southwest Airlines, and I found an aluminum, it was actually part of a skin of one of the first Southwest Airlines aircraft that had been retired, and they take those skins and they cut them into keychains. We carry some Boeing stuff. We carry some Airbus things in our gift area that are old skins, and it's got the tail number. You can look up pictures of those planes. You can't go wrong with a keychain for sure.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I just got a new car, and I was trying to buy a cover for the key fob, and I was Googling it, and I ended up on a site which I think my family, my girls in my family know about. It's called E010, and it's basically people who are crafty and making cool things. And so I ended up buying this keychain for my new, or this key fob cover for my new Jeep from this site called E010. And as I was there, I was looking around at other keychains. There's all kinds of aviation-related keychains on there that some very creative people are making. A lot of resin keychains with airplanes embedded in there, and just some really, really neat things.
Yeah, a lot of those small airplane models that are in keychains like that now, I just realized recently are actually the same thing. There's Concords that are made out of melted down pieces of the skin from an original Concorde, so that's got a floating Concorde in that epoxy or resin, and that's really metal from one of the original Concords. So really cool, nifty stuff. Right now, COVID, we're still in the midst of COVID. You can't go wrong with an aviator's mask. I saw and bought a bunch of red masks for the flight school that say it says don't remove before flight, so that you have a red mask that you're wearing, obviously not to remove it. You can buy masks with your home airport on it. So any part of the sectional they'll print and put on a mask, whether that be a sectional or you want a low and route chart, you could probably get anything you wanted printed on a mask today. So go search the Googles for that kind of stuff. Socks are always fun. Yeah. Aviation socks with left rudder, right rudder on the bottom of them, or airport codes or runways. There's all kinds of aviation socks out there. You can't go wrong with that. We talked about it. Really referencing a bag, but a hat, a shirt with your tail number or type of aircraft that you're rated to fly is always a good one. We've offered behind the prop gear in the past. If you give us show ideas, you could earn yourself a coffee mug and get yourself a little bit of behind the prop gear that would be a good gift or stocking stuffer for your aviator in your life. Coasters are always fun in the form of a 6-pack from a Cessna or a single engine trainer that you've maybe flown in the past. We sell a cute bottle opener up front that's got the FAR code on 8 hours bottle to throttle, so that any knick-knack like that referencing aviation would be great gift ideas for the aviator in your life.
Right. I agree.
All right. Well, that's a long episode. Hopefully we all get the gifts we want for Christmas. Hopefully this show will give you the person in your life that's going to buy you a gift some really good ideas, from expensive to fun and cheap. We hope, as always, you enjoyed the show. Anything to wrap with, Wally?
No, just we appreciate all the listeners. Our downloads are trending up, and we're getting more and more feedback. We thank you for all the positive feedback. Again, you can write to either one of us at wally@behindtheprop.com or bobby@behindtheprop.com if you have any questions or ideas for a show. We would be glad to listen to your input, and we'll get back to you.
And I'll say, if you are finding any value in the show, share it with a friend, pass it along, do a post on social media, let others know that the podcast exists so they can find it. And if you really like us, give us a 5-star review on Apple or wherever you're listening to podcasts. It would mean a lot to both of us. As always, fly safe and stay behind the prop.
Bravo Tango Papa, we are clear of the active runway and would like the taxi to park.
Bravo Tango Papa, taxi to park. Great show. Have a nice day.
Taxi to park, thanks. You too, Bravo Tango Papa.
Thanks for listening to Behind the Prop. Please follow us on social media @Behind the Prop or visit our website, www.behindtheprop.com. Until next week, fly safe, everyone.